So what was it completed last time? Advantages and disadvantages of self-pollination. Now today the presentator will continue from cross-pollination, fertilization, and other points. So at first, cross-pollination, its advantages, disadvantages, and what is here? Differences between self-pollination and cross-pollination. Then what is next one? Fertilization. There are many more drawings. Those drawings must be drawn. You must not be lazy. And after fertilization, external fertilization, and what is next? Internal fertilization. Then again there is difference between external fertilization and internal fertilization, pollination and fertilization, then sexual reproduction in plants, significance of sexual reproduction, seed. I don't know up to where they are going to explain. So whose duty is there to explain? Sushant Foyal. Let's welcome him on the stage.
Very warm good morning to all. As you all know, it's Mr. Sankar from group. I'm the member of group Oppenheimer. I'm here to present about life process, chapter 5, part 2. Height very small. Oh yes.
It's me, Rana Magar from group Oppenheimer, and today I'll be explaining about cross pollination from life process chapter. Namaskar and good morning to you all. It's me, Rana Magar from group Oppenheimer, explaining about life process chapter 5, part 2. Topic about today's topic is cross pollination. Cross pollination is defined as the transfer of pollen grains from the anther of a flower of one plant to the stigma of a flower to another plant of the same species. Cross pollination thus means normal pollination, but it instead of transferring the pollen grains from the anther to the same flower, it transforms to the other flower, another plant stigma of the same species. It occurs in both unisexual and bisexual flowers. It occurs in open flowers. It occurs in both unisexual and bisexual flowers. That means it mostly occurs in open flowers and not closed flowers. Advantages of cross pollination: the offspring are healthier because of cross pollination. The offsprings will be healthier and survive for a longer period. Second, a larger number of seeds are produced and they are more viable. That means in self pollination, the production of seed is guaranteed, but if they do not produce a lot of seeds. But in cross pollination, they produce more amounts of seeds and they are more viable. Third point, the plants formed by cross pollination can adapt into changing environment easily. The plants which are produced by cross pollination can adapt to the change of environments and climates easily. These are the advantages. Now let's move on to the disadvantages of pollination. Disadvantages of pollination are In this process, a large number of pollen grains are wasted. In this process, a large number of pollen grains are wasted instead of self-pollination. Only a little is wasted. Second, because of the distance barrier, pollination may fail. In self-pollination, the pollen grains transform to enter in the same flower in the or plant, but in cross pollination, because they need to transfer from one plant to another plant or flower, the pollination might fail because of the distance barrier. Third, cross pollination may cause undesirable characters in plants. Cross pollination is the pollination between two different plants of the same species, so they can sometimes they can sometimes have undesirable characters in the plants. Fourth, it creates huge scented nectar-filled flowers to attract insects only. It creates because of cross pollination, it creates huge scented nectar-filled flowers that attract insects only. It is difficult to preserve good and advantageous qualities of the plant. Because of cross pollination, it is very hard to preserve the good and the advantageous qualities of the plants, which can make the plant better. My next topic is about fertilization. After pollination in plants, the pollen grains germinates and on structures called pollen tubes. After the pollen grains germinate, they oh, no, no, no. After pollination, the pollen grains germinate into a structure called pollen tube. It is where the pollen grains are kept. The pollen tube grows through the style and reaches the ovary male gametes. Inside the ovary, there may be one or many ovules. Each ovule The pollen tube grows through the style and reaches the ovary, male gametes. Inside the ovary, there are many. There may be one or many ovules. Each ovule is surrounded by two or three protective layers called integument's. Each each ovule is surrounded by three protective layers of substance called integuments. The integuments later develop the seed coat. The pollen tube enters the ovule through a pore called micropyle, where the integuments are absent. Finally, the integrates later develop the seed coat, the coating of the seed. The pollen tube enters the ovule through a pore called micropyle, where the integrates are absent. The pollen tube enters the ovule through a pore where the called the micropyle, where there is no presence of integument's to stop them. Finally, one male gamete of the pollen tube fuses with the female gamete or ovum to form a zygote. And at last, the male gamete and finally, one male gamete of the pollen tube fuses with the female gamete or ovum to form a zygote, a type of plant. I hope this process is called fertilization. The process of male gametes of the pollen tube fusing with the female gametes to make a zygote, to form a zygote, is called fertilization. Thanks. Now my next topic is about sexual reproduction in plants. As you know, there are two types of reproduction: sexual and asexual. And we are going to read about sexual reproduction in plants. There is sexual reproduction in animals as well, but we will read that later on. Please pay attention. In developed plants, sexual reproduction is done by flowers. Flowers may be unisexual or bisexual. In developed plants, sexual reproduction is done by flowers. Flowers may be unisexual or bisexual. Unisexual flowers have either the male reproductive organs androecium or the female reproductive organs gynoecium organ. Bisexual or hermaphrodite flowers have both male and female reproductive organs in the same flower. They have given a definition of unisexual and bisexual. Unisexual flowers have either male male reproductive organs called androecium or female reproductive organs called gynoecium. But that is unisexual. But in bisexual, plants or flowers have both. The plants or flowers have both both male reproductive and female reproductive organs. When the conditions like suitable temperature, light, water, and air are favorable, the seed germinates into a new plant. In this way, the life cycle of a flowering plant begins from a seed. If there is suitable temperature, if please shut up. If there is suitable conditions like temperature, light, or water and air are favorable, then the seed germinates into a new plant, finally starting its life cycle of flowering plants. It begins its life cycle. When plants get mature, they produce flowers. After fertilization, flowers change into fruits. Inside the fruit, seeds and form again. Seeds germinate into new plants. In this way, the life cycle of a plant is repeated again and again. When plants get matured, they produce flowers. After flowers comes, please. After fertilization, the flower changes into fruits, and inside the fruits there is a seed, and the seed can be again planted to form a new flower or a new fruit. And in this way, the life cycle of a flowering plant is repeated again and again. It's finished. Now we have read about sexual reproduction in plants, but now we are going to read about sexual reproduction in animals, as I said earlier. Most of the animals reproduce sexually either by giving birth to young ones or by laying eggs. Most animals either directly give birth to their young ones, or just lay eggs like chicken. And the example of giving birth is cow, humans, etc. In animals, sperms are male gametes which are formed in the testes, and ova are female gametes which are formed in the ovaries. Just like in plants reproduction, there are two different gametes, sperms and ova. Sperms are produced by male reproductive organ called the testes, but the ova is produced by the female reproductive organ called ovary or something. Yeah, the ovaries. When the gametes get matured, their fusion occurs by the process of fertilization. When the gametes fuse together, they get matured by fertilization. Fertilization may be external or internal. After this process, a zygote is formed which grows into a new organism. And after the fusion of male gametes and female gametes, sperm and ova, a new organism is formed. A new organism is formed, a zygote is formed, which grows into a new organism. The new organism grows either inside an egg or in the mother's uterus. The inside is just like a chicken. In the chicken, the chicken lays egg, and the chick grows in that egg and finally hatches. But in human, please shut up. But in the human process, the children grows into the mother's uterus instead of laying an egg and explaining in the egg. My next slide is about significance of sexual reproduction. There are two significance of sexual reproduction. It causes variation, which is the main unit of forming species. It causes variations. It causes variations, which is the main unit of forming species. It means it just produces new varieties of species. Offspring formed by this method have more disease resistance power. The children or offsprings which are developed by this method have more resistance from diseases and can survive more, hopefully. Potato. Now we're going to read about seeds. Each seed contains a baby plant or an embryo, preserve food and coat in it. Seeds differ in shape and size. Each seed contains a baby plant acid or an embryo, preserved food in coat. As you can see, now this is not. As you can see in a potato, it is a seed, but it after you cut through the potato, there is some edible food inside, just like that. And seeds also differ in shape and size. Just like human beings, some are taller, some are shorter. In seeds, some may be small and some may be big. On the basis of the number of cotyledons, seeds are divided into two types. They are monocotyledon seeds and dicotyledon seeds. On the basis of numbers of number of cotyledons, seeds are divided into two types. They are monocotyledon and dicotyledon. Monocotyledon seed. The seed which has a single cotyledon is called a monocotyledon seed. The maximum part of the seed is covered by endosperm, which is the food for the embryo. Just the seed which has only one cotyledon in it is called a monocotyledon seed. The maximum part of a seed is covered by endosperm, a kind of material, which is the food for the embryo. It is what the embryo feeds. Just little part of it is covered with cotyledon, which contains the embryo. Just a small part of it is contains embryo. Cotyledon. Just a small part of it is covered with cotyledon, also known as scutellum, which contains an embryo inside of it. Plumule of the future coleoptile and radical is the future root that is protected by coleorhiza. Oh, I don't know, bro. I should embrace that seed. Plumo of the future shoot is covered and protected with coplate. Coplate is a substance that protects the future shoot, and radical. It is the seed which has only one cotyledon in it is called. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, that's what I said. I'm right. Radical is the future root. The substance cochlear and radical is protects the future root of the plant. My next slide is about dicotyledon seeds. Dicotyledon seeds. A dicotyledon seed has two cotyledons in it. The seed is also made of seed coat, cotyledons, and embryo, like in the other types of seed. The difference between dicotyledon and monocotyledon is that dicotyledon has two cotyledons in their seeds, but a monocotyledon has only one cotyledon in its seeds. The seed is also made of seed coat, the thing that covers the seed. cotyledons, the small part, the seed or something, embryo, and like in the other types of seed. Bro, how many slides you make? Function of different parts of seeds. Seed coat and cotyledons protect the embryo from injury. Thus, the coating of the seed and the embryo protect the seed from getting damaged or harmed from outside substance. Okay, okay. Endosperm in the monocotyledonous plants and monocotyledons in dicotyledonous plants store food. The substance endosperm in monocotyledon and dicotyledon plants store food for the embryo. It stores food from the embryo. The embryo survives and grows into a new plant using the food. The food stored by the endosperm is is used by the embryo and survives and grows through the food. The embryo of the seed is the future plant. When the seed gets suitable air, water, and temperature, it germinates. The embryo of the seed is the future plant of the seed. When the seed gets suitable air, water, and temperature, it starts to germinate, which creates a new spin. In a germinating seed, the radicle of the embryo develops into root, and the plume it develops into shoot of the plant. In a germinating seed, the radicle of the embryo develops into a root, and the plume develops into the shoot of the plant. Shoot is the upper part of the plant, and root is the lower part of the plant, which is buried into the ground. And after saying this, I would like to end my presentation. Thank you. Have a great day. Now I'm what? It's just a joke. Dispersal of seeds. Oh, accident. A big accident. Dispersal of seeds. Like us humans, plants also need. Like us humans, plants also need nutrients to survive and grow. As you can see, if a human doesn't get enough nutrients, it will not grow and survive for a long period of time. Just like that, plants also need nutrients to survive and grow. Plants absorb most of the nutrients from the soil. The roots of the plants absorb the nutrients from the soil, which makes the plant survive. If many seeds fall just under the plant and around it, the land will not be able to supply any sufficient nutrients. If a lot of seeds are buried into the ground, all the seeds need nutrients to survive. So they will all take the nutrients from the soil, but the soil will not have enough nutrients to provide to all of the seeds or the plants. So it will be thus nutrients will be sufficient, and will slowly the plants will slowly die. Thus, it is necessary to scatter the seeds far from where they are formed. Even farmers know this. When they are growing something, they don't put all the seeds in one place. They scatter the seeds in many areas, so they all get sufficient nutrients to survive and grow. Now, this is the last slide. Please pay attention. By air, anemochori. I don't know. There are wings like feathery and hairy structures attached with the seeds of some plants. In some seeds of some plants, there are some hairy and feathery substance attached to it. The hairy structures help the seeds to fly in the wind. The wind transports them to significant distance. The wings or some hair of those seeds. What? So there is no explanation of how there are the hairy substance and wings are formed on the seeds. So please, I do not have the authorities to show you. The hairy structures help the seeds to fly in the wind. The structures with hair and wind, the structures with hair and wind help the seeds to fly through the air and transport them to a significant distance. Now, with saying all of that, I'd like to conclude my presentation. Thank you. Have a great day.